Have you ever looked into the eyes of a stranger and felt an unexplainable connection? Or maybe walked into a place you've never been before and thought, I know this. I've been here. These moments are mysterious, almost haunting, and they make us question, is there more to life than what we see right now? Could it be that our existence stretches beyond this single lifetime? That what we call life and death are just chapters in a much bigger story? Paramhansa Yogananda, one of the greatest spiritual teachers of the modern age, gave a profound answer to this question through the wisdom of reincarnation. For him, reincarnation wasn't just a belief, it was a universal truth, a natural law of the soul's journey through eternity. And if we are willing to open our hearts and minds, his teachings can completely transform the way we see ourselves, our struggles, and our purpose on earth. Yogananda taught that reincarnation is the process by which the soul returns again and again to physical life, each time taking on a new body, new circumstances, and new lessons. Think of it like going to school. One grade cannot teach you everything. You need multiple years, multiple subjects, multiple teachers, to grow into maturity. In the same way, one lifetime is not enough for the soul to learn everything it needs to realize its divine potential. That is why we come back, life after life, until we remember who we really are, infinite, eternal, and one with God. But let's pause for a moment. Why does this matter? Why should you and I care about whether reincarnation exists or not? Because if it's true, then every single experience you're having right now, your joys, your heartbreaks, your struggles, are not random. They are part of a carefully woven tapestry, designed by the soul itself to awaken you. When you understand this, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and begin to see yourself as a conscious participant in your own spiritual evolution. One of the most beautiful things Yogananda explained is how reincarnation connects with karma. He described karma as the law of cause and effect, not as punishment, but as education. Every action, every thought, every choice creates an imprint on your soul. These imprints guide what lessons you will face in future lifetimes. If you plant seeds of kindness, you will harvest joy. If you plant seeds of selfishness, you will harvest challenges meant to teach you compassion. And because one lifetime is too short to learn all these lessons, the soul carries them forward across incarnations, patiently, lovingly, until balance is restored. You may wonder, how does this explain the inequalities we see in the world? Why is one child born into wealth, another into poverty? Why does one person live a long, healthy life, while another suffers illness at a young age? Yogananda said reincarnation gives us the only true answer. Life is not unfair. It is profoundly just, even if we cannot always see the bigger picture. What appears as chance or misfortune is often the soul's chosen classroom. Behind every birth is a deeper purpose, a lesson to be learned, a gift to be discovered. Yogananda often told stories of people who had memories of past lives. He described children who could recall their previous families, languages they had never been taught, or talents they carried from one lifetime to the next. He explained that genius is often just memory, the soul bringing forward knowledge it has cultivated over many incarnations. Think about that. The poet who writes with astonishing beauty, the musician who plays as if the instrument were part of their body, the scientist who makes discoveries far beyond their time, many of these gifts come from long journeys of practice carried through the soul's memory bank. Nothing is ever lost. Every effort, every skill, every bit of love you give in this life is stored and carried with you. And yet, Yogananda reminded us that reincarnation is not meant to trap us forever. The goal is not endless lifetimes but liberation. The soul takes on bodies the way a traveler changes clothes. We wear them for a while, they serve their purpose, and then they are laid aside. But beneath all the layers, the traveler remains the same. Who you truly are is not your name, not your body, not even your personality, it is the eternal soul. Reincarnation exists so that we may awaken to this truth. Now, you might be asking, if reincarnation is real, why don't I remember my past lives? Yogananda answered this with great wisdom. He said that forgetting is actually a blessing. Imagine if you carried the weight of all your past heartbreaks, betrayals, and traumas consciously into this life, it would overwhelm you. Forgetting gives us the chance to focus on the present chapter without being crushed by the weight of all the previous ones. However, the lessons themselves remain within us. That's why you may feel certain fears, attractions, or intuitions that seem to come from nowhere. They are echoes of the soul's memory, guiding you toward growth. But here's the most transformative part of Yogananda's teaching. Reincarnation is not just about the past, it's about your power in the present. You are writing your future lifetimes with the choices you make today. Every act of love, every step toward selflessness, every moment you choose faith over fear is shaping the destiny of your soul. You are not powerless. You are the author of your eternal story. There is a deep comfort in this truth. It means that nothing is ever wasted. The love you give is never lost. The growth you achieve is never forgotten. Even the suffering you endure is never meaningless. It becomes wisdom, compassion, and strength that the soul carries forward. Yogananda often said that life is a school for the soul. Each incarnation is a classroom. And one day, after many lessons, you graduate. That graduation is liberation, or what he called moksha, freedom from the cycle of birth and death, union with God, the eternal homecoming of the soul. But until that moment arrives, we walk this path, lifetime after lifetime, learning, falling, rising, and slowly remembering the truth of who we are. The beauty of reincarnation is that it reveals the divine patience of God. There is no rush. There is no deadline. You are loved infinitely, and you are given as many chances as you need to awaken. As you hear this, maybe something deep inside of you is stirring, a quiet recognition. Because the truth is, most of us already sense that reincarnation is real. We feel it in those déjà vu moments, in the connections that defy logic, in the sense that life is too vast to be contained in a few decades. Yogananda simply put words to what the soul already knows. So when you ask, does reincarnation exist? The answer Yogananda gives is a resounding yes. But more importantly, he tells us why it exists, so that every soul, no matter how lost, no matter how broken, will one day remember its divine origin. Reincarnation is the story of God's unconditional love, a love so great that it will give you endless chances to come home. And in this understanding, death itself loses its sting. Death is not an ending but a transition, a doorway to the next chapter. Life and death are two sides of the same coin, both serving the same purpose, the awakening of the soul. Yogananda urged us not to fear death, for the soul is never touched by it. What you are, your true essence, cannot die. You simply change forms, continuing the eternal journey of becoming fully conscious of your divinity. And so, as we step deeper into this exploration of reincarnation, let us carry this truth in our hearts. You are not a body, not a fleeting life, but an eternal soul, walking through many lifetimes, each one a sacred opportunity to rediscover God within. When we reflect on reincarnation through the eyes of Yogananda, it's not some far-off mystical belief, it's an intimate truth about our own journey. He often said that the soul carries forward not only memories and impressions but also unfinished lessons. That's why we sometimes meet people and feel an instant connection, as if we've known them forever. Or why certain situations seem strangely familiar, like déjà vu whispering, "You've been here before." These are not random accidents. They are echoes of past lifetimes, resurfacing so we can heal, grow, and finally transcend them. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever wondered why two children born in the same family, raised under the same roof, can be completely different in temperament and destiny? One may be calm and wise beyond their years, while the other may be restless or drawn to material desires. Genetics alone can't explain this. Yogananda would say, it's because each soul arrives carrying its own karmic blueprint. That blueprint is the invisible script of past actions shaping present possibilities. Life is not unfair, though it often seems so. It is deeply just, offering every soul exactly the circumstances it needs for growth. Yogananda reminded us that reincarnation is not about punishment, it's about education. Just as a student repeats grades until they master the subject, the soul takes on new bodies, new circumstances, until the lesson is learned. If love was neglected, life brings opportunities to give love. If power was abused, life returns us as the powerless so we may feel humility. If we ignored the call of spirit, life gives us struggle until we seek higher truth. Reincarnation is not meant to trap us, it is meant to free us, once we awaken to its purpose. But here's where Yogananda's teaching stands apart. He didn't just talk about reincarnation as a concept to believe in, he gave practices to help us experience glimpses of it ourselves. Through deep meditation, he said, the soul can sometimes recall flashes of past lives, as if the veil is lifted. He described moments where seekers would remember a scene, a face, a place from centuries ago, with such clarity it was undeniable. But Yogananda cautioned us, don't get lost in curiosity. The real purpose is not to collect stories of who we were, but to use this awareness to break free from who we are not. Ask yourself this, if you truly knew that this life is only one chapter in a much greater book, how would that change the way you live today? Would the small worries, the grudges, the endless chasing of things lose some of their power over you? Would you place more value on love, compassion, and inner growth? Yogananda's answer was always clear: knowing the truth of reincarnation should make us live with more kindness, more patience, and a deeper sense of responsibility for our choices. Because every choice is planting seeds for the future, not just in this life, but in lifetimes to come. Let's look at the idea of fear. Fear of death is one of humanity's deepest shadows. But if reincarnation is real, what is there truly to fear? Death is not an end, it is a transition, like moving from one room to another. Yogananda often used the metaphor of sleep. Each night, when we sleep, we let go of the body and the conscious mind. We dream, we awaken, and life continues. Death, he said, is simply a longer sleep. And just as we wake up each morning in the same body, after death, the soul awakens in a new form, carrying with it the essence of who we are. This teaching is not meant to make us careless with life, it's meant to inspire us to live with deeper intention. Imagine if you knew that the anger you carry today might become the burden of tomorrow. Or that the love you give now will return to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Wouldn't that shift the way you choose to respond in each moment? This is the transformative power of Yogananda's wisdom. He invites us to live awake, to live consciously, knowing that life is not a single performance but an ongoing journey of the soul. There's another layer to this. Yogananda often reminded his disciples that while reincarnation explains the cycles of birth and death, the ultimate goal is liberation. We are not meant to wander endlessly from one life to another. We are meant to wake up to our divine nature and merge back into the infinite. Until then, reincarnation gives us a chance after chance to evolve. But liberation is the true destiny. Think of it like this: reincarnation is the school, but graduation is the union with God. That is why Yogananda emphasized meditation and devotion, not just as spiritual practices, but as doorways out of the cycle itself. Let's bring this down to a practical level. If you believe in reincarnation, how should you live differently today? First, by practicing forgiveness. Why? Because if souls meet again and again, holding on to resentment only binds us tighter. Forgiveness cuts the karmic chain. Second, by living with purpose. Every talent, every challenge you face, is not random, it's part of your soul's curriculum. Ask yourself daily, what lesson is this moment teaching me? And third, by seeking inner connection. Meditation, prayer, mindfulness, these are tools to tune into the soul's eternal journey. They lift you above the noise of this life and remind you of your greater identity. Yogananda once told a disciple, "You are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body." That single shift in perspective changes everything. If we see ourselves as souls first, then this life becomes a precious opportunity, not something to waste in trivial pursuits. The body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. And every lifetime is like a garment we wear for a season, only to exchange it for another. The question is, what are we learning while we wear it? Now pause for a moment and reflect. Somewhere deep inside, does this truth stir something in you? A quiet recognition, as if you've always known it. That's the power of Yogananda's teachings. They don't impose, they awaken. They remind us that we are far greater, far older, and far more eternal than we've been told. We are travelers on a timeless journey, walking toward the same destination, union with the divine. So the question, does reincarnation exist, is not just philosophical. It's deeply personal. It asks us to see beyond the limits of this one life and recognize the soul's eternal quest. And when we live from that awareness, life becomes richer, more meaningful, and more compassionate. We begin to treat others not just as strangers but as fellow travelers, souls we may have known before, souls we may meet again. And in that awareness, love naturally grows, because we realize we are all part of the same great story. My friends, as we bring this journey to a close, remember this: life is not the end of you, nor is death the end of your story. You are an eternal soul, moving through lifetimes, growing, evolving, and slowly awakening to the truth of who you really are. Reincarnation is not just about past and future, it's about how we live right now. Every thought, every action, every choice is shaping the road ahead. Yogananda's voice still echoes for us today: you are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body. The body will change, lives will change, but the soul remains forever radiant, forever free. The purpose of this life is not just to survive, but to awaken, to remember your divine nature and walk closer to God with every breath. So take this truth with you. Live with kindness, live with courage, live with devotion. And know this, every step you take toward love and truth is never lost. It follows you beyond this lifetime, carrying you closer to the infinite. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If Yogananda's wisdom touched your heart, share this light with others. And always remember, you are on a sacred journey, and God walks with you through every lifetime.